I'm your host, Kosh, and this is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. This podcast was created to give artists the codes to build audiences, cash flow, and make a living doing what they love. My guest today is this woman right here. Her name is Banvoa. She is a editorial and fashion photographer. Thank you for joining me.
I'm trying to find like a cool filter.
A filter, yeah. I feel like
but it's like
movie credits.
I'll be watching this school.
I want to ask you though, for the people who are unfamiliar with you, how would you describe yourself in one sentence?
I would say bubbly, vibrant, personality-wise, a bit open. I would say fair and willing to compromise.
That's nice. I like that. That's appreciated.
Especially if you're working with another creative.
How would you describe what you do in one sentence?
I shoot bomb-ass people.
Okay.
Like, every person that I've shot with, majority of them are my friends, and some I have built like a cool relationship with. Yeah. I'm really big on keeping relationships if I think that the person is great as well. I don't really care about whether you have clout. You can have 500 followers, and if I think that you're cool and have like a great portfolio or anything, I'm down to work and stuff.
I love that. No, that's awesome. In your career, when do you think you achieved your first creative breakthrough?
Working with Neela.
Okay, and explain. Give me more context.
When I met Neela, I was going through some rough stuff, and I was really in a very creative funk. I mean, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm just going through the motion in school, going through the motion for work and client work, just everything. And then, I don't know, something told me, okay, we already knew each other, social media-wise. We met once, but it was a quick thing. But we followed each other, and I think a new project or something that she put out, I was like, I want to work with her. So I was just I hit her up.
What year was
2019,
this?
and it was back in February. And then fast forward to April, we did our first shoot, and she was half naked. So also it was my first time she'd be a half naked person. So I was just oh, okay, this is different. And then we just hit it off very well. Asked me to be a person photographer.
And so ever since April of 2019, you guys have just been going crazy.
Yeah, that's I think what really helped me, and then also helped me build my artist, because I didn't really know what my brand was really going to be. So she helped me out with that.
You guys, the imagery pushes the envelope every time. And I think that's why you stand out as a photographer. Not only working with her, but mainly the je ne sais quoi that you put on the photos. I don't even know how to really explain it. And I know how to explain things creatively, but I can't. It's just a magic. I don't know. It just feels magical when you see the photos. I wanted to know, in the midst of that. So that was 2019, and you said you were going through the motions. So maybe this aligns, but where do you think you failed as you built your name as a photographer, or you built your brand as a photographer?
Communication. I think it's one thing, just learning how people work, especially if it's your first time working with them. It could be your fault, and it could be something on their part, and it could be a whole big drama, whatever.
So communication across the board, it could be about anything.
Yeah.
And then how did you overcome that? How were you able to overcome the communication issues?
Trying to be more understanding and empathetic of that person. I guess being understand the situation, especially if it's something that's out of their budget.
Yeah.
Just being more understanding that, try to find a middle ground, trying to find a solution for sure. I think that's really what it is. Especially being photography, because you always have to find a solution. Anything could go wrong, and you always have to have a plan B, C, E, F. Always. Yeah. Definitely have to learn that for sure.
I'm right there with you. We worked one time, and so I know. Even with that, there was a lot of things that went on. What are 3 strategies that you've used to get you to that breakthrough, to get you to the place where you're at now? If I don't know if you're gonna shamelessly plug yourself, so I'm gonna plug you, but you've done Adidas, you've done Flo Milli, you've done Gunna, you've done a lot of things. So what do you think are 3 strategies minimum that you've used to get you to where you are now?
Honestly, keep working and looking for creative inspiration. That's one thing for sure for me is always finding new ideas. Whether I'm in a creative funk or not, if I have like a creative block of just try to like, even if it's something small or even if it's just like a small project with one of your friends, it's just doing something. It doesn't have to be like a whole Vogue photo shoot or anything. It's something really small and maybe that could help. And what helps me a lot is usually going through Tumblr. I'll go through like my collection of magazines or watching like, my favorite films. Or one thing I do is I actually watch like student animation films. Like whenever I'm like in a funk and I just need something to like cheer me up or inspire me, I usually watch student films.
That's totally understandable. When you say you watch those things, what do you gravitate towards at those times?
Feeling. I want someone to feel like, okay, what type of emotion does this bring?
Right. Your work really does have feeling. I follow certain photographers because there's a certain standard for me in regards to like design and feeling and texture and tint and emotion and all of those, you know, creative technical terms. I guess what I was trying to drill down on was more so like you say you watch these projects, like what are they about?
Okay, so they could be about, say, some type of ethereal spirit or whatever. There's this YouTube channel that I watch. It's a French one, animation film company called Goblins. I don't know exactly what it means, but literally that's what I watch.
Your go-to.
Yeah, but it's like everything's in French, but you kind of understand what the story is through the visuals. And also Hayao Miyazaki films.
And what got you into that in the first place?
See, the first one I watched was Spirited Away. I know that's one of Miyazaki's most popular work, and I just remember the use of color that he would always use. And all of his movies always have a story or some type of level of empathy in his characters, especially even like the characters that we consider villains or some sort of empathy. That's also what inspires me through my work as well.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, I'm glad you brought up color because, like, I look at all your stuff and it's very colorful. Okay, so let me ask you, it's like a two-part question. So the first is, how do you make money doing photography?
Usually sales, but I know not everyone can afford my rate. So just doing something nice for them and just giving them a fun vlog experience.
Okay, and then what advice would you give to up-and-coming photographers about how to make money as a photographer? Solely with photography. I'm not saying like go get, I mean, if you gotta get a part-time job, you gotta get a part-time job. But I'm saying like solely with photography, what advice do you have for photographers?
Honestly, packages help. Like if you let people know what into your service, maybe it will reel people in, putting out more content. I haven't been on TikTok yet, but the way Instagram is being set up right now, I might as well do it. Honestly, what has been helping me is the sales, really. But also, for just being on social media, you do have to put out more content. It's a whole process that I'm still learning and still growing in. With these opportunities I've been getting with like Adidas and Gunna and Flo and all that stuff, that was just like, I mean, I had to keep shooting eventually, like just also investing in myself and just building up my portfolio, really. I feel like that's also helps too, like to build up a portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plenty of modeling agencies that have new models coming in or being newly signed that need test shoots. That's what I would do sometimes.
I think you gave a lot of great advice. I wanted to kind of circle back on one thing. You said something that's been helping you is sales. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So can you explain that deeper?
I know during this pandemic and inflation, not everybody can pay $800 an hour. So it's just like, it will help me keep money in my pocket, but also help them because they're getting high quality work for like half off price.
Got you. I wanted to ask you too, you said putting out more content. Can you speak to like, because obviously you've developed like a taste and like an aesthetic and a brand for yourself. What advice do you have for photographers when they publish content? Like what does the content need to look like to really like book gigs?
I would say probably have variety in your work, maybe different types of styles. I would say shooting different angles and shooting like different races, that helps because then that makes you come off as you're inclusive. You can do like shoots like group photos or like campaign inspired looking shoots, maybe shoot of a couple or something like that. Like something that can be a bit relatable, especially on a platform like this.
I agree with that. I think when you said like group photos, like having kind of like commercial validity to what you're doing in a way. And I think that's what your work does, and I think that's why it stands out so well. And obviously that's why you work with huge people and brands. I want you to tell us how we can connect with you elsewhere. Like, how would you like people to connect with you?
Usually direct messages, honestly, like DMs. Like usually there's times where I always get DMs depending on whatever work I put out. Just heartwarming words for real, really. It's just like down the lines of like, oh, you inspired me, I love your growth, or it's just so great to see how your work has developed. I always notice that too. It's always like when people reach out to me, it's always my growth as an artist because I have people that have followed me on here since like
2017.
and yeah, it's so crazy to see. It's like wow, like you have been rocking with me years.
Right.
And it's really great to see, especially like at a low point and you just like, dang, do I still want to continue doing this? And you just have like people who just give you random words of encouragement, the one like just unexpected when you unconsciously need it. I'm really happy at the position that I'm in now. I'm really grateful.
Well, that's fire. Well, do you have any questions for me? Because I'm gonna wrap it up.
I was actually shocked that you wanted me to do this podcast because you're like the second person that asked me to do it. Because usually I don't really do interviews, really, or I just obviously I don't put my face out there as much.
Well, you're a photographer, so.
Yeah, because at first it was cool until people start thinking that you're a dude because you don't show your face, so they assume that you're a guy, and it's just like, no, I'm a girl, so I have to do that and stuff like that. Yeah. Just so y'all know, I'm not a girl. Okay, I mean I'm not a boy.
I'm not a girl.
Jesus Christ. I am not a boy. I am a full-fledged girl, okay? I'm a cisgendered woman, okay?
Okay, I'm here and I'm shooting this fire.
Yes, I have X chromosomes. Yes, I'm a girl. I am femme. Yes.
Well, thank you for being on. I wanted to feature you because I want to feature people that I think really do this. And I believe that you really do this, and I think you shared some good insight today, especially around making money as a photographer. And you've done some big things, and I think people look up to that, whether they tell you that or not. And so I think you should be, I think you are already grateful based on what you said, but I think you should be encouraged that your work is reaching the masses, I guess you could say. So once again, y'all, I'm your host, Kosh, and this is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. You can follow me to get notified for the next one. And thank you again, Banvoa. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Peace and love, y'all.